Good morning and welcome to my Monday messages. So this weekend I was reminded several times actually of the importance of really good communication in any relationship. And I was also reminded of what can go wrong when that communication is not clear or that we are communicating in very different ways and there's a kind of mismatch. We just miss what somebody else is communicating or trying to communicate. And one of the really good ways of understanding this, I think, is to think about, broadly speaking, we are divided into, or not divided, I hate the word being divided. We're not divided, we are grouped into two ways of communicating. And that means in the way that we receive information and the way that we give it out. And broadly speaking, that would be inferential, which I'll come on to explain, and literal. And when we can observe how we are predominantly, how we give information and how we receive information, and how our partners in particular, or anybody else that we're in relationship with, what their predominant means of communication is, it can really avoid a lot of unnecessary misunderstanding and therefore unnecessary conflict. So I'll give you an example. Excuse me. If we're sitting with my husband at home in the evening and I say, God, it's cold in here. My husband he could actually get a little bit irritated because he will hear, that means she wants me to do something about the heating. And given that one of his jobs is central heating engineer and plumber, it tips him into, okay, that means I need to go and check what the boiler's doing, or I need to go and change the thermostat, or I need to do something, basically. Whereas that was not my meaning at all. I was merely making an observation. So that kind of exchange used to cause a lot of conflict or misunderstanding in the past, before we both realised that he is very inferential most of the time. And I am the opposite in that I'm very literal most of the time. And I should add that there are situations where we may be predominantly one or the other. It doesn't mean we're always that way, but just most of the time. So if I want something, if I want to ask for something, or that I need something done, I will ask for it. Literally, I will say, I would like you to go and check the boiler. I would like you to turn the thermostat up, to do whatever you need to do to raise the heat in this room. So he will have a very clear message. Now, obviously, what he chooses to do with that is another matter. But I'm very literal. I will ask for what I want in those terms, very literally. I don't tend, and there are exceptions to this, I don't tend to say, oh, it's cold in here, but actually mean, could you go and do something about it? Whereas my husband does. So, so it's interesting to observe that, because, as I say, that could really, in the past, could really irritate my husband. So now he will check, oh, do you want me to go and do something about it? And most of the time it'll be, no, it's fine. I'm just saying I'm feeling cold. And if it's a yes, then, he's much more likely to respond to it. So when we have conversations now, we're mostly, not always, but we're mostly careful to say, okay, what did you understand by that? What's your understanding of what we've just talked about or what we've just agreed? Because quite often we would have situations where a week later, after a conversation, my husband would take from that conversation that we'd agreed to do X, Y, and Z. And because I haven't heard it literally as in, okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is when we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to do it, it's all, nothing's been agreed in my head. So he would say, oh, but I thought we'd agreed to do X, Y, and Z. And I go, no, we just talked about it. We didn't come to any conclusions. So now we understand that that's kind of what happens with both of us most of the time. We can check it. We can just go, no, hang on a minute. Are we both on the same page? Have we both understood that that was actually just a conversation, or are we agreeing to do something about it? So thinking about how you deal with situations, how you communicate your needs, both to anybody that you're in an intimate relationship with, but also even in dealing with situations externally, like doing your admin or booking hotels or complaining about something or trying to get something done with somebody. Observing how we are actually communicating what we need is really key to getting a good outcome, actually. So there are times where we do need to be more literal than inferential, because if we're dealing with somebody that we don't know, are they literal or are they inferential? If you're lucky, if you're very inferential and you get somebody else who is also inferential, then between the two of you, you will understand what you both need. But if you're a mismatch in terms of that, and that you're dealing with somebody who's very literal, the literal person will end up being very confused about what they're supposed to be doing or what it is that you want, or the other way around. So I hope that makes sense. I would suggest that you ask yourself good questions, as ever, about any situations, any patterns in any of your relationships where you feel there's a pattern of feeling misunderstood, or that you don't achieve the outcomes that you would like from that relationship or from conversations, or that things just don't seem to actually get communicated very well. And look at, obviously, firstly, your own part in that. So am I communicating in a literal way, or am I communicating in an inferential way? Was that appropriate to whatever the circumstance was? And most importantly, how did the other person receive what you were communicating? And see if you can respect the two different ways of communicating, because neither is right or wrong. They're both just different ways. And actually being inferential can be very useful, especially in a therapeutic relationship. So in my sessions, there are times when I am needing to be very inferential because I'm picking up energetically the meaning behind what people are actually saying, literally. So that can be very, 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 very useful. I nearly always, though, need to, I'm careful to follow it up at some point with just a quick check from my more literal self. Is what I've understood inferentially, is that correct? Because it might not be. And so just doing a quick scoop up with, okay, this is what I've understood from what we've just said and what I've just heard. Is that correct? And that is a useful thing to do in whatever language you feel is appropriate with any relationship, I think, just to double check, are we both leaving this conversation with what we need? from it. So I hope that makes sense. It's just a little thought process, really, to start becoming conscious of how we communicate, how we receive information, and how we give information, respecting that not all of us do that in the same way, and just checking that we both parties in any exchange do get what they need. So if you're watching me live, you're very welcome. And if you are watching the replay, then let me know and do post any comments in the thread below this video. And if you do have any need for additional support in any relationship issues, and that you're finding that you're in a pattern of feeling a bit misunderstood and a bit like there's a miscommunication in any relationship, then do click on the link with this video for more information about working with me to help smooth that process and minimize any conflict in your life. That's it for today. Have a fabulous week, and just do notice how you communicate inferentially. So do you infer things, or do you literally state your needs? Okay, take care. Bye.